Welcome back to MintStory English. Today's story is unlike anything I've shared before. It is quiet, it is thoughtful, and it might make you think differently about the people you say goodbye to every single day. It is called The Man Who Collected Goodbyes. Let's begin. At the old train station of a small town, there worked a man named Thomas. He had worked there for almost 40 years. He had seen the station change slowly over time. New paint on the walls, new benches, new schedules printed on boards. But one thing never changed. Every single day, people came to that station to say goodbye. Thomas noticed something that most people never noticed. He noticed that goodbyes were never really about the words people said. They were about everything happening underneath those words. The way a hand held on just a little too long, the way someone's voice cracked in the middle of a sentence, the way eyes tried to memorize a face they were about to lose, even for just a little while. Over the years, Thomas began keeping a small leather journal in his coat pocket. Whenever he witnessed a goodbye that touched something deep inside him, he would quietly write it down after his shift ended. Not the names of the people. He never knew their names. Just small, simple observations. One entry read, "An old man kissed his wife's forehead 3 times before boarding, as if once wasn't enough to remember it by." Another read, "A young soldier hugged his mother so tightly she had to gently pull his arms away, laughing through her tears, saying, 'I can't breathe, but don't let go yet.'" Another simply said, "A little girl waved at her father's train until it completely disappeared, even though he could no longer see her." Thomas never fully understood why he collected these moments. Perhaps it was because deep down he was searching for something. Perhaps he was trying to understand goodbyes so deeply that one day he would recognize the truly important ones before they slipped away unnoticed. Thomas had a daughter named Clara. She had grown up watching her father work long hours at the station, missing birthdays sometimes, missing school events other times, always apologizing, with tired eyes and a gentle smile. "The trains don't wait, my dear," he would say. "But I promise, I'm always thinking of you, even when I'm not there." Clara grew older. She studied hard. She worked hard. And eventually, she received an opportunity to work abroad, a big, exciting job in a country far, far away. It was everything she had dreamed of. But it also meant she would be leaving on a train from her father's own station, possibly for a very long time. The day of her departure arrived. Thomas, now an old man himself, stood on the same platform he'd stood on for 40 years. Except this time, he was not simply an observer writing down someone else's story in his little leather journal. This time, he was living it. Clara hugged her mother first, both of them crying softly. Then she turned to her father. "Papa," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "I'll call you every week, I promise." Thomas nodded, but he couldn't speak right away. His throat felt tight, the way he had seen so many throats tighten over the years, in strangers he had watched from a distance. "You know," he finally said, his voice shaking just a little, "I've watched thousands of goodbyes happen on this platform. I always wondered which ones truly mattered the most to the people saying them." Clara wiped her tears and smiled gently. "And now you know which one matters most to you?" Thomas nodded slowly. "Yes," he whispered. "This one." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his old, worn leather journal, the one he had carried for over 20 years. He placed it gently into Clara's hands. "What is this, Papa?" she asked, confused. "It's every goodbye I've ever witnessed on this platform," he said. "Every single one that touched my heart. I always thought I was collecting other people's stories. But really, my dear, I think I was preparing myself for this moment, the day I would have to say goodbye to the person who matters most to me." Clara opened the journal and quickly scanned a few pages, her eyes filling with fresh tears at the small, quiet moments her father had captured over the years. "Take it with you," Thomas said. "Read it whenever you feel far away, whenever you feel homesick, whenever you forget how deeply people can love one another, even in the smallest of moments. And know that somewhere in this journal, invisible between the lines, is every single day I silently loved you, even when work kept me away." Clara held the journal tightly against her chest and hugged her father one final time before boarding the train. As the train began to move, Thomas did something he had watched countless strangers do over the decades. He walked alongside the platform, waving, until the train disappeared completely from view, just like the little girl in his very first journal entry so many years ago. After Clara left, Thomas continued working at the station for a few more years before finally retiring. But he never stopped writing in journals. He simply started a new one, this time filled with the goodbyes he witnessed after his daughter's departure, but now written with a deeper understanding. Years later, Thomas passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family, including Clara, who had returned home permanently after several years abroad. Among his belongings, they found dozens of small leather journals, filled with hundreds of quiet, ordinary goodbyes, moments most people would have simply walked past without a second thought. Clara donated the collection to the small train station's local museum, along with a short, handwritten note beside them. The note read, My father spent 40 years quietly witnessing the goodbyes of strangers, never realizing he was slowly preparing his heart for his own. He taught me that every goodbye, no matter how small it may seem, deserves to be noticed, remembered, and honored. Because we rarely know in the moment which goodbye will be the one that stays with us forever. To this day, visitors to that small station museum stop and read a few entries from Thomas's journals, often finding themselves quietly moved by simple, ordinary moments between strangers who lived and loved decades ago. We often walk through goodbyes, distracted, rushed, or unaware of their weight. But every goodbye carries meaning, and we rarely know in the moment which one we will carry with us for the rest of our lives. So the next time you say goodbye to someone you love, pause for just a moment longer. You may not get another chance. I hope this story touched something quiet inside you today. If it did, please like this video and subscribe to MintStory English. And perhaps the next time you say goodbye to someone you love, hold on just a little longer than usual. New stories come every week, so don't miss the next one. Until then, take care of the small moments. They matter more than we think. See you in the next story.